God, what is up with these people? Like, you have something that could make millions, if not billions of dollars because you have dedicated fans, and your answer to, for whatever reason, is to alienate and to essentially piss off the fans. Like, where are you even from? Like, at the end of the day, that's just foolish business, too. Today's article suggests we may finally be approaching the end of an era at Lucasfilm. I'm HighTower. This is HighTower's Hangout, where Star Wars is analyzed with clarity, context, and respect for the legacy. The article that we'll be looking at today comes from giantfreakinrobot.com. It was published 4 days ago, which would have made that January 7th of the year 2026. And keep in mind, this is, I don't believe there's anything that is set in stone right now as far as what is happening at Lucasfilm. The headline reads, Disney has finally jettisoned the person who ruined Star Wars. They're not wrong. They are not wrong. The article begins, after 13 years in charge of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy is stepping aside as creative director. The former producer was in charge of the company since Disney bought it in 2012, overseeing an era, I think they misspelled error here, overseeing an era of Star Wars media that has not always resonated with fans. That's the truth. I don't know if you could call Kathleen Kennedy successful at anything that she's done at Lucasfilm. Truly. Kennedy was already a Hollywood legend by the time she was put in charge of Lucasfilm, being the producer of such cultural touchstones such as E.T., The Goonies, the Back to the Future and Jurassic Park franchises, the Gremlins films, and the Indiana Jones movies, all before taking over, emphasis on taking over, Lucasfilm. Kennedy has won 8 Oscars and worked with both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg for decades. Clearly all that time with both of those legends, two of perhaps arguably the greatest filmmakers in the world, she didn't learn anything from working with them. The article continues, however, Kathleen Kennedy's tenure as head of Lucasfilm brought about both hits like The Mandalorian and Andor, and misses like The Rise of Skywalker and The Acolyte. So let's keep in mind The Mandalorian was a hit for the most part, seasons 1 and 2. Parts of season 3 were good, but not great. And Andor was good. I liked Andor. It looked, felt, and sounded like Star Wars. It was fairly gritty. Mentions The Rise of Skywalker. I can't even talk about that. I'll give myself a stroke sitting here talking about it. That's like literally the only thing in the world that makes me so mad is, God, I don't even remember what episode 8's called right now. The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Both sucked. But more so, The Last Jedi just makes veins bulge in my forehead. And The Acolyte, again, something that could have been incredible, but just fell short because of nearsightedness. The article continues, Kathleen is credited with bringing wokeness to the franchise, alienating longtime fans with preachy messaging and gratuitous inclusion. This earned her criticism from many corners, summed up by the South Park special Joining the Panderverse, in which she was cast as the villain. I don't have anything to argue or defend about this portion of the article. At the end of the day, It doesn't matter what a person looks like. Doesn't matter what an alien looks like. Doesn't matter in a galaxy far, far away. A place that we all would like to escape to. But what Kathleen has done is brought real world problems and made them problems and the forefront of a cultural phenomenon franchise. People would argue that, okay, the originals had ties to Vietnam and the wars that occurred at that time. This has been done differently, though. This, though, as it defines it, the wokeness that was introduced by Kathleen and quite frankly Disney, it was done in spite of people. Again, like I said, people can live however they want to live, but to not tell a great story, regardless of man or woman or black or white or anything anywhere in between, you've been foolish and you've dropped the ball, because your focus is not on storytelling. Your focus is on preaching how your way is better than everybody else's way. So shame on you, Kathleen. The article continues, the Acolyte managed to further alienate fans with an activist director who admitted herself that she was trying to anger the fandom. God, what is up with these people? Like, you have something that could make millions, if not billions of dollars because you have dedicated fans, and your answer to, for whatever reason, is to alienate and to essentially piss off the fans? Like, where are you even from? Like, at the end of the day, that's just foolish business too. It continues, that she was trying to anger the fandom, and a plot that spat in the face of decades of established Star Wars lore. Yeah, I'm not going to get into how the Acolyte tried to retcon essentially the specialness of Anakin Skywalker, but if you know, you know, or you care to know. Meanwhile, a canceled Ben Solo movie with Adam Driver and continuous holdups on the movie that would bring Daisy Ridley's return as Rey are also being blamed on the renowned producer. I mean, what a waste. Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Peter Mayhew. What an absolute waste of talent that essentially was brought to us in part by Kathleen Kennedy. The next portion of the headline says, Kathleen Kennedy's replacement has been chosen. I believe it should say replacements based on some other things I've read. It says, Kennedy is being replaced at Lucasfilm by Dave Filoni and Llewellyn Brennan. Brennan is coming to the position in an administrative and executive capacity, but Filoni is well known to Star Wars fans already. He is the director of Star Wars The Clone Wars, which came out in 2008, making him a Lucasfilm veteran. I hope that Dave can go back to his roots. I feel like either he's been overpowered since the Disney takeover and Kathleen Kennedy dictatorship. I hope that Dave can go back to his roots, go back to what it means to be a Star Wars fan and able to have the ability to create. It says he, meaning Dave, also wrote and directed on The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, where he was supervising director on the Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch, all popular and successful Star Wars IPs. Critics of Filoni's appointment as creative head of Lucasfilm are concerned that he will only concentrate on IPs he already had a hand in, particularly the Ahsoka character. However, numerous fans are delighted that he will be in charge, especially given Kathleen Kennedy's reputation with the fandom. Since Filoni was mentored by George Lucas, it is fair to say that his promotion could be a good thing for the franchise and the studio. However, the same was said of Kennedy for the same reasons, and there's also the power of the House of Mouse guiding the direction of future Star Wars projects. Will Filoni be able to revive the franchise and overcome the shadow of the recent failed projects? Only if the Force is with him. So to touch on Dave Filoni's abilities, I guess, I don't have as big of an issue as maybe some people do with how Dave has gone about with Ahsoka. A lot of people are somewhat bothered by her. I guess my biggest nitpick is that she should have died around the timing of Revenge of the Sith. So when the Clone Wars ended, I think that's when Ahsoka should have died. I'm hopeful that Dave will realize that he's living a dream and will essentially pull his head out and stand up for what it means to create in Star Wars and to honor George's vision. But I don't know if he will. I mean, just to be frank, I've never met Dave. I don't know Dave. But from a distance, and again, this is me judging a book by its cover, I don't feel like Dave is the type of person to be willing to stick his neck out to stand up for what he knows is right and to make decisions, though they may be unpopular initially. Sometimes those are what makes someone or something successful. I mean, I think about the story of George, all the trials he went through to be able to make the original film and the original films. George did it his way, and ultimately, at the end of the day, someone has to be able to help Star Wars the way that George curated it. If someone doesn't look and care for Star Wars how George did, it will fail. It is my hope that Dave Filoni can fill those shoes and remember what it was like to work with George and George's work ethic when it came to a project he cared about. But sometimes all these people become blinded by, I guess you could just say, the shadow of greed. So a couple of takeaways from the article today. There is no official confirmation that Kathleen Kennedy is leaving Lucasfilm, and there's no confirmation that Dave Filoni will co-chair the top seat at Lucasfilm with Lewin Brennan. None of that is confirmed right now. Kathleen has taken us on a roller coaster of her leaving, her not leaving, her completely destroying the franchise, which has just been a train wreck, not even a roller coaster. So remember that Disney and Lucasfilm have made no official statement regarding Kathleen Kennedy leaving. So it's not time for the throne room and celebration right now. Yet. From what I've been able to gather, this information that's been circulating is from industry insiders and potential leakers. Other than that, I have nothing to confirm this. So if Kathleen Kennedy is truly stepping away from Lucasfilm, history will judge her tenure as the fans already have. The real question is, what will Lucasfilm do next? They've had us on a roller coaster ride. Let me know down below in the comments, do you feel hopeful? Or are you waiting to see real change on the screen? Thank you all for hanging out. Hit that like button. Subscribe. This is HighTower's Hangout. And as always, may the Force be with you.